Hello, Valentina.
Hi, Sutandra.
Thank you so much for sharing your time and your wisdom here for Chung Hung Institute for our podcast. And you are doing really incredible work all the way in Spain. So, can you share a little bit about who you are, the work you do?
Mhm. Yes, thank you. Well, I'm a psychologist and also a musician. I study singing and composition, and in some point in my life, I started like uniting those two areas, and I dedicate to the work of the voice, through the voice, with the voice, for the voice, and all the voices, to heal through the voice and to transform through the voice, and also to be more aware of ourselves and the world and everything through that tool. For me, it's like, my purpose, if you can say, is like to investigate and do everything and use it, and help people use it also to heal and to transform and to sing, and to liberate. So yeah, that's what I do.
Beautiful. How did that come about for you?
Well, it happened because I had like an accident in my vocal cords, a hemorrhage, which is like the worst thing that can happen to a singer. And I was like a full-time singer back then, and doctors told me that I would never be able to sing again. So, you know, at least you have your psychology degree, so you can do that. And for me, the voice was the most important thing. So I made like a commitment to heal myself, to know what happened to me, why this happened to me. And I started like a quest, and very deep, very difficult also, because it was like so much pain and things that you have to dig to know what was going on. And then my voice came back. I went through like a surgery of my vocal cords, and then I had to not speak or anything, like total mute, for 6 months. So that was also like my intense vipassana, like, surrounded by society, but I was in silence. So that was also a big experience. And then I said, okay, if I could, heal myself and my voice and understand the power of the voice, I can help other people to do the same. So then I grabbed my bags and went to San Francisco, and I went to study with Sylvia Nakash and everything about the voice and sound healing. And so that's how it happened.
So how
A
did you find
summary.
how did you find your own voice through the trauma to the point that now you're teaching others, hey, you can overcome this trauma, get on the other side?
First feeling the pain, like,
Yeah.
not, I think that's a big part, because when we go through trauma, it's like if it was an excessive amount of energy and you cannot process it because it's too painful to process it. So then you block in a way. So, and then you don't feel that. So you live the trauma through other forms, not by feeling it. So when you are able in a safe space to really feel the pain and the wound and what happened to you, is, I think, is the first step. first to feel it, and also letting go a bit, and then when you already, like when you feel that pain, what happened, like the trauma, you know, it's the first step for that road that for me was through the voice. And because the voice generates a safe space in yourself to be able to feel that, and to be able to make it okay to feel that.
Mm.
Not, it's not too much, and it's not like, it's like gradual, so it's not all the emotions at one, you know. And I feel like that had to happen step by step, and because the voice, the work through the voice is not like, it can be cathartic, but it's in a, like in a nice way, you know. It's not like a big like shake. It's like a gentle, it's very gentle, it's very loving, like nurturing, you know, because it's like our, it's the voice, it's our energy, it's like the, what is with us all
Yeah.
the time. So it's like our, you know, our home in a way.
Yeah. It seems like most
Yeah.
people in society, they want to be heard and they want to speak. But oftentimes, what happens is they speak just to speak, right? And there's no substance behind it. And maybe when they speak, they're mumbling or speaking so softly that not even a bird can hear. Is that a form of trauma? Do you see that in your clients?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I see that. I see that. And, you know, culturally, and that depends in like, you know, we are from different cultures. I am living in a culture that is not mine, but the voice is universal. And even though the trauma can be different, and there's something about the voice that can tell you, you know, if you have like an embodied voice or not, like if you're in your body or not, or if you're in pain or not, or if you're tired, or if you're like, your voice will tell everything. So
Yeah.
I feel like when you are more in your body, and when you are able to feel, like we were saying earlier, your voice is going to be more deep and more full. And it's not that a tiny soft voice is wrong, like there's no wrong voice, all voices are beautiful, but there's something about the energy. Where is that voice? It's like you can feel it in that way, and then through the voice you can do the work. You can do a work that is with the spoken voice, you know, like psychology, psychotherapy, psychoanalysis, you know, like you're talking. And then you can do the work of the voice through sound, through your sounding voice. And I found that it's like the same way. It's like the, you know, like the way is not different. You do it through the sound or through the word. And at some point you can work with both, and they will unite in some point. And for example, if we're working with a sound, with a, for example, the sound of the heart, then that person will reflect on some specific things and have insights that are related to that vowel, for example, and they will be able to process it in a way more like, you know, rational and intellectual. Or sometimes it's so unconscious that your subconscious is going to be like a download, and then your body will process it alone, and you will not even be aware, but something's going to happen, and then your voice starts to change. So then it's like healing through the sound, through the word, and you know, we do that work, and voices change, like shy voices change. Or for example, if someone has a soft voice or a shy voice, it doesn't matter, but that person might be able to say something to their boss, for example, that they never could because the boss was like, and in that same voice something could appear. And that's the process of the healing. It's like, tiny steps, and in a kind way, but it's amazing, like it's huge, right? Because that may never happen, but it happens. So that's how you can see it work
It
in
sounds
that
like this
way.
is meditation, the same as meditation, but uh, like medical meditation for the voice. Is that?
Yes. It's meditation through the voice, yeah, because it's like you have to be meditating through your voice to be aware of your voice, and to be more conscious and more present, to be
Mm.
able to, of course, do the work and realize what's going on. And in my workshops, because I do one-on-one and also like group workshops, we're meditating for an hour. We are talking, we're processing, we are integrating, but the first hour is all meditating with the voice, through the voice.
Mm. Like chanting.
We have yeah, like chanting and sounding and vocal meditation and mantras and some, singing of some specific places of Latin America, and we are entering that state. And the
Mm.
voice is so fast, because it's like you can change your consciousness in a minute or less than a minute. So you have that. We need to enter to that space in order to feel and to clear the mind. It's
Yeah.
the same. We need to clear the mind, and the voice is a very quick way to do it.
So if someone listening to this right now is like, hey, I want to be heard, but I don't know how to speak up, how do they overcome that fear, overcome that trauma, or what can they do now if they can't afford to see a psychologist or they can't come to Spain to see you?
You know what just came to mind is like they should sound first. Do it. Do an ah. Do humming. Mm, do do a vowel. Sing their favorite song. But if you cannot sing because you don't want to be heard in the next room, for example, you can just say, I always tell this to people, you can say to because the thing that I hear the most when I give, like an assignment, my assignments are like, I'm going to give you a note, like a vowel and a sound, and you have to do this for 21 days, for example.
Mm.
They are, but next, in the next room there's like my brother or my partner, and I'm like, you just say, this is an assignment, like I need to do this. This is like not something that I'm just like, because they are very self-conscious people to sing.
Yeah.
Depends on the place, but in some places, like in Latin America, I go to Chile, I say, let's all do an ah, and they are all like, ah, happy. I do an ah here in Spain, and it's not so much.
Mhm.
It's like ah, and they are all looking like, what is this, because it's like, but it's so natural to sound like we came into the world crying, we were doing an ah, so it's like the most natural thing. So I would say, if you start by using your sounding voice with no like intellectual brain thinking that you have to say something that is smart, or because people sometimes they don't want to speak because they think that they're not going to say something smart, and they, they keep quiet. But if you start sounding, which has no intellectual anything, and you say like ah, and you give an ah, that is also like a singing from the heart, and it's expression, expansion. You can then, it's the same way, you can then speak with the same intensity. You can do an ah, and then sometime words are gonna come, because we're working with, like, if we're gonna talk about like chakras, for example, we're working with this area, the throat, and we are making the mind and the heart coherent, because they are in communication, and the voice and the throat is like the bridge that connects these two, the mind and the heart. And then you can be in communication, and your voice is like, I always say, it's a bridge, the throat, and the bridge needs to be clear, so that, like cars then can, go one way to the other. And the voice, what the voice make is like, you're like brooming, like putting in the holes, like you're, how do you say, like putting sand in the holes and leaving the bridge, clear. So then the car can go to a different city. This is the same. The heart can go to the mind, and the mind to the heart, with a clear, path. And the voice do that. So then if you're sounding, if you're doing it in your meditation, then at some point your mind will integrate that it's easy to speak, that it's easy to say what you think, and then you will be able to do it. It's when, if you don't have, like the possibility to go to a therapist, you can start here, and then things will happen, things will open, because the voice is like this powerful tool for transformation, healing, integration, connection. So it will always make you feel better. Like nobody has ever regretted like doing a mantra, or, like it's so beautiful, and it happens like so many like connections and realizations also, because it brings you into this state to be able to be more aware of what happens to you also.
Beautiful. And I loved how you said our first, when we're coming out of the wound and we're like, ah, right? So it's like,
Yeah.
why are we so afraid to do that now? But my question then for you, Valentina, is what about the other end? The people who just speak, they cannot stop speaking. They go, ah, at everybody, right? How do you help those people who are like, okay, I speak too much, I say too much, I get into a lot of trouble because of my mouth. How do you help them?
Yeah, good
What's that about?
question. Is the same, only, the other part of sound, the silence. It's, we cannot separate them. So I try to, it's like, if someone cannot stop speaking, I make them sound, so then I can make them be quiet and in silence, because after sound comes silence. And if you're in that state, then you have to go through the silence, and you have to stay in the silence, especially if you've been meditating with sound for a while. Then at the end, we must be in silence, because it's the time when we integrate all what we did. And then I try to teach them about the importance of silence, and that in order to be sound, you have to have silence, and you have to, in the silence, you will listen to your truth, so you can be in contact with your heart in that place. And then people start, like to be more conscious of their words through silence. And I always start my teachings with breath and silence. And I always say, silence, listening is the most important thing for you to sing,
Mm.
not vocal technique. You need to learn to listen and to be silent first. So then you have to like go all the way around. But if you cannot make that person start meditating at the beginning, you make them sound until they just, the sound makes everything happen. It's like you cannot escape from sound. You're sounding, and at some point the sound starts like singing you, like your voice
Mm.
takes over, and then you surrender. No matter if you are a shy person and a quiet, or if you're the most loud in the room, sound will do what it does. Your voice will do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that it's like the most important song is actually silence. We think we need to just speak and speak. Really, we need to listen, that they cannot live without the other. Is that right?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I always say, and I used to teach singing for many years, and people always say, how can I be more in tune? Like, they all want to, how can I sing better? And I was like, you need to listen to singers who you like. Listen, just listen. No, but I want to do an exercise, but first listen, because you need to first listen. And I remember my teacher used to say, Silvia Nakash, which I mentioned before, she said, like, if you can listen, you can sing it. It's like if you can listen to what the bird does, then you can imitate that, you
Mm.
know? Like, you just need to, like, get in tune to that sound, and then to that bird, or to that singer, or, or the piano. And then, so yeah, I think that listening is the first step, and silence, because it's very important, the dance between sound and silence, and you need to give space to the silence, because the silence between the notes,
Mm.
it's what contains the emotion. Like you're listening to something, and then it stops for a little while, and you're like, and then it continue, and that plays, it's like it's full, that silence is full. So yeah.
It's such a deep practice of awareness,
Yeah.
isn't it? So, if we imagine an ideal world where people can can do this kind of contemplative work, it is contemplative, isn't it?
Yeah. Yes.
How can that be? What kind of world would it be? Both contemplative and confident in our speech. How do you manifest that world today?
Wow. I would love for that to be, like a reality. um I think that you start with the work yourself, and then you try to give that away. It's like, I always say, can you have you seen where there's like these singers that they're not so in tune, they're not the best singers, but they transmit like this emotion, and you cry, and you're like, what's going on? It's like complete unity, union, and you're in that space. I feel like it's because the heart is so open that they're singing like the love of the heart through the voice, and then everyone receive it, that love, and then you're changed
Yeah.
because you are changed. Like I go to see someone that does that, I'm a different person. I walk I walk out and I'm different. I'm like, and I just feel that love, and I feel like I would love for it to be, like that, like a chain reaction, like that you can sing that way, you can give that, you can use your voice in that way. You don't have to sing opera, you can just do a sound or a word. You can just speak the way you speak, and you're speaking from your heart, and the next person is going to receive that, and then it's going to speak from their heart, and like a chain reaction. And that's what I always feel like when I imagine, like this, the harmony, like in the world, that it's going to be like that. That's why, these meditations for peace or are so powerful, and then because you're like doing the chain reaction. So that's what that's how I imagine it, and I wish for it to be. And I think that we can make our, little contribution in that way.
What would you say is the most impactful story that you have contributed to, and how?
That I have contributed. Wow. I I think that for me is when I'm like doing this work in with the groups, and someone, I impact in a way someone, and that person's, just say something that is so deep and powerful for them, that they realize through their voice and how they are doing something about it in their life. And then I feel like that time when people say that, for me is everything. Like for me, I want to cry. I don't need like a big, it's like this person plus this person, and like, not even because it's not about me, it's about like what happened through their voices. Like for me, I think that's the most impactful because it's what I was saying before. It's like the chain reaction. Like I say in that moment, oh, I'm doing like something that is very good for that person, like if you're contributing with your small, like, grain of sand. But for me it's huge. For me it's like, super huge. That's all I need, like people to love their voices and use it for their healing and other people's healing. And yeah.
The small shifts and the big changes. That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So if somebody wants to take one of your workshops, can't get to Spain, is there something they can do? How can they meet you?
Yes, well, yeah, they can. Spain would be great, because when you are like in, everybody's in live, in person, in front of each other, and the voices are all, sounding, is so magical. But the voices are telepathic, and I do a lot of online work because I realized in the pandemic that we were even listening to each other. That's how powerful it is. Like people would say, am I crazy? Because I'm hearing voices, like I'm hearing us sing, like other people sing. So the entrainment is so big and the harmony is so big that, so so I would encourage everybody to just try, if they're in another country, to try the group work, like, because it's very, very, like, it's so powerful, and the energy of the group, even though we're away, you can feel it. And yeah, when we sing together, we sing more powerfully, that's for sure. And I will have a workshop in January, like it's for classes, like for Fridays. And we will, so they can, we will work through the voices of the voice, because I always say that we don't have only one voice, we have many voices, and we need to, be in communication with all of them. Maybe the shy voice and also the confident voice that say you can do it, and like all the voices, the voice we speak to our mom differently, to our cat, or a stranger. So then it's like all these voices live inside you, and we want to explore them and heal them and transform them and use it to be more aware also, and to have confidence and to explore creativity. So that's what it is about. And yeah, and you can find me Instagram is or my webpage, but Instagram is the platform I use the most. So yeah.
Tell us your handle on Instagram and also your website for those who don't have Instagram.
Okay, great.
What is
Thank
it?
you. It's
Okay,
Valentina Moyano .voz, Spanish, and
mm,
valentinamoyano.com, my webpage. Yeah,
great.
Moyano is my last name.
And we'll put that in the bio also
Mhm.
for
Thank
anybody.
you.
Thank you so much for sharing your voice and also I think inspiring many to begin again on the journey
Mm,
of healing trauma and healing the wound.
mm. Thank you for those beautiful questions and your energy and your presence, and